The information in this video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Let's talk about that feeling. You know the one. It's the feeling that you're technically fine, but you're just not. It's the low-grade hum of anxiety under the surface of everything. It's your brain feeling like a web browser with 100 tabs open, all of them playing different, muffled sounds. It's the exhaustion that a good night's sleep doesn't seem to touch. You're navigating your life, your job, your relationships, but it feels like you're doing it with the parking brake on. You're moving, but everything feels 10 times harder than it should. What if I told you that this feeling isn't a personal failure? It's not a sign that you're broken or weak, or that you just can't handle life. What if I told you that feeling is actually a signal, and that the biggest problem isn't the signal itself, but the fact that no one ever gave you the user manual for your own mind to understand what it means? That's what this is. This is the user manual you were never given. Over the next 10 parts, we are going to build, from the ground up, a practical, no-nonsense roadmap for starting your mental wellness journey. This isn't about incense and chanting, unless that's your thing. This is about giving you the tools, the language, and the framework to understand your own internal world, so you can stop running on empty and start living with intention and clarity. We're going to solve the single biggest problem people face when they feel this way. The overwhelming, paralyzing question of, where do I even begin? Before we go any further, we need to clear the air and tear down a few myths that hold people back. First, mental wellness is not just for people in a crisis. That's like saying dental hygiene is only for people with a mouthful of cavities. Mental wellness is for everyone. It's the daily, proactive practice of tending to your mind, just like you tend to your physical health by eating well or going to the gym. It's about building strength, resilience, and self-awareness, so that when life inevitably throws you a curveball, you're not starting from zero. Second, the goal of mental wellness is not to be happy 24/7. Anyone who sells you constant, uninterrupted happiness is selling you a fantasy. Life is a full-spectrum experience. There will be stress, sadness, and frustration. The goal isn't to eliminate those feelings. It's to change your relationship with them. It's to feel them without letting them hijack your life. It's about building a strong enough container so that you can hold discomfort and still move toward what matters to you. And third, this isn't some abstract, out there concept. It is the most practical, real-world skill you can possibly develop. Improving your mental wellness impacts everything. Your focus at work, the quality of your relationships, your physical health, your ability to solve problems, your sleep. It is the foundation upon which everything else in your life is built. So where do we start? We start by reframing that feeling we talked about, the burnout, the anxiety, the fogginess. I want you to start thinking of that feeling as your mind's check engine light. Think about it. When the check engine light comes on in your car, what's your first reaction? For many of us, it's a flash of annoyance. We might ignore it for a few days, hoping it just goes away. We might even put a piece of black tape over it so we don't have to look at it. But we all know, deep down, that ignoring the light doesn't fix the problem. The light isn't the problem. The light is a messenger. It's a beautifully designed system telling you, hey, something under the hood needs your attention. The problem could be minor, a loose gas cap, or it could be major, a transmission issue. But you won't know until you actually look. Your mental and emotional state works the exact same way. That feeling of constant dread? That's a check engine light. That snap of irritability at the smallest inconvenience? Check engine light. The complete lack of motivation to do things you used to enjoy? That's a big flashing check engine light. These feelings are not your enemies. They are data. They are your internal guidance system telling you that something is out of balance. For years, most of us are taught to do the mental equivalent of putting tape over the light. Feeling anxious? Just push through it. Feeling burned out? Have another cup of coffee and work harder. Feeling sad? Don't be a downer, just think positive thoughts. We are taught to suppress, ignore, and override our own internal signals. And the result is that we keep driving the car, pretending everything is fine, while the engine is quietly falling apart. The very first step on this entire journey, the foundational skill, is to stop, take the tape off the dashboard, and simply acknowledge the light. It's to shift your mindset from, I hate that I feel this way, to, I'm curious about why I feel this way. This is where your work begins. Not with some massive life-altering change, but with a simple act of observation. We're going to conduct what I call a mental inventory. You don't need to fix anything right now. You don't need to have any answers. Your only job is to be an honest detective in your own life for a few minutes. Grab a piece of paper, open a note on your phone, or just close your eyes and think through this. We're going to look at 3 areas: drains, chargers, and neutrals. First, what are your drains? These are the activities, people, or situations in your life that consistently leave you feeling more depleted after you engage with them. Be brutally honest. Is it that weekly meeting that could have been an email? Is it scrolling through social media and feeling that wave of comparison? Is it a specific relationship that always feels like hard work? Is it the clutter in your living space? Is it worrying about money? Just list them out. No judgment, just observation. These are the things that are making your check engine light flicker. Second, what are your chargers? These are the things that, no matter what, leave you feeling even a little bit better, a little more energized, a little more you. Is it a 5-minute walk outside without your phone? Is it listening to a specific album? Is it a conversation with a friend who truly gets you? Is it cooking a meal? Playing with your dog? Is it that feeling after a good workout? Don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be a monumental cures all problems activity. We're looking for things that add even 1% back to your battery. And third, what are your neutrals? These are the things you do on autopilot. Driving to work, brushing your teeth, doing the dishes. They don't necessarily drain you, but they don't charge you either. They just are. We often don't even notice them. Just doing this, just laying it all out, is a radical act. Because for the first time, you're not just feeling overwhelmed, you're looking at the specific data points that are creating that feeling. You're looking under the hood. You're not guessing anymore. You're seeing a map of your own energy. This simple inventory is the starting point for everything else we are going to do together. It's the diagnostic test for your engine. Once you can clearly see what's draining you and what's charging you, you can start making small, deliberate choices. You can't eliminate all the drains overnight. We all have jobs and responsibilities. But maybe you can reduce one. Or, more importantly, maybe you can intentionally add one small charger into your day. This is the fundamental principle of the journey we're about to take. It's not about a sudden dramatic overhaul. It's about a series of small conscious adjustments. It's about learning to read the map of your own mind so you can navigate with wisdom instead of just reacting to the terrain. Over the course of this series, we're going to build on this. We'll build a practical toolkit for managing stress and anxiety. We'll explore the landscape of your emotions and learn how to work with them, not against them. We'll learn how to set boundaries that protect your energy and how to build a life that is genuinely aligned with your values. But it all starts here. It starts today. It starts with this one powerful shift in perspective. Your feelings are not your enemies. They are your guides. Your anxiety, your burnout, your frustration, it's just your check engine light, asking for your attention. So the only question you need to answer right now is, are you ready to finally look under the hood? Okay, you've decided to look under the hood. You've lifted the latch, propped it open, and now you're staring at the engine. It's a complex mess of wires, tubes, and metal. It's intimidating. You might hear a hiss over here, see a little grime over there. Your first instinct, the one our entire culture has trained you for, is to grab a wrench and start tightening things. To get some cleaner and start scrubbing. To do something. I'm asking you to fight that instinct. The single most important and most skipped step in any journey of change is this. You don't fix anything first. You don't even touch anything. You just look. You observe. This isn't the glamorous part. This isn't the part that makes for a great before and after picture on Instagram. This is the quiet foundational work that makes everything else possible. We're not performing surgery today. We're just taking an inventory. We're conducting a gentle audit of your inner world. Think about it like this. Imagine you've been living in a house for years, but one entire room has been locked. You don't know what's in there. You just know that sometimes strange noises come from behind the door. Sometimes you feel a cold draft. For years, you've just tried to manage the symptoms. You turn up the TV to drown out the noises. You wear an extra sweater to deal with the draft. You've gotten really good at living around the locked room. The gentle audit is simply finding the key, unlocking the door, and turning on the light. You're not expected to clean the room, redecorate it, or throw anything out. You're just allowing yourself for the first time to see what's actually there. Is it messy? Maybe. Is it dusty? Probably. Is it as scary as the monster your imagination created? Almost never. The problem is we walk around all day completely disconnected from what's happening inside of us. We're like drivers so focused on the GPS and the radio that we don't notice the engine is sputtering or that we have a flat tire. We just notice that the ride is bumpy and we feel irritated. We blame the road. We blame the other drivers. We blame the car itself. We never just pull over for 60 seconds and ask, hey, what's actually going on with me right now? So this is your first tool. It's not meditation. It's not journaling. It's not therapy. It's simpler and far less intimidating. I call it the daily weather report. And it's going to take you at most 2 minutes. That's it. You can do it right now. You can do it when you wake up. You can do it waiting in line for coffee. You're going to tie this new habit to an old one. So maybe every time you pour your first cup of coffee or brush your teeth, that's your cue. You're going to stop, close your eyes if you can, and ask yourself 3 simple questions. And the only rule is, no judgment. You are a neutral reporter, a scientist collecting data. Nothing is good or bad. Just is. The first question. What am I feeling in my body physically? Scan yourself from head to toe. Don't invent anything. Just notice. Is there a tightness in your shoulders? A knot in your stomach? Is your jaw clenched? Maybe your hands are cold. Or maybe you feel a pleasant warmth in your chest. You're not trying to fix it. You're not stretching your shoulders or taking a deep breath to calm your stomach. You're just naming it. Ah, there's that tightness in my neck again. My feet are tired. My eyes feel strained. That's it. Data point collected. The second question. What is the primary emotion I am feeling right now? And try to be specific. Instead of just good or bad, find a more precise word. Are you feeling frustrated? Content? Anxious? Hopeful? Overwhelmed? Bored? There might be a mix, but just pick the one that feels the most present. The one that's sitting in the driver's seat. And again, you just name it. You don't judge it. You don't say, ugh, I shouldn't be feeling anxious, everything is fine. You just say, okay, the emotion present right now is anxiety. This is a radical act. Because you're not saying, I am anxious. You're saying, I am experiencing the feeling of anxiety. It's a subtle but life-changing shift. You are the sky, and the emotion is just a cloud passing through. You are not the cloud. And the third final question, what is one thought that is looping in my head? Our minds are like a radio station that's always on. Most of the time it's just background noise. For this question, you're just trying to tune in and hear what song is playing on repeat. Is it a worry about a deadline? Is it replaying a conversation from yesterday? Is it a line from a song? Is it a critical thought about yourself? Again, you're not wrestling with the thought. You're not trying to solve the problem it's presenting. You are just noticing it. The thought on loop is, I'm going to be late. The thought is, I wonder what they thought of my email. You just acknowledge it. That's it. That's the entire exercise. Physical sensation, primary emotion, looping thought. Now you might be thinking, that's it? How is that going to help anything? This is where the magic is. For maybe the first time in your adult life, you are creating a space between you and your internal experience. You are stepping out of the chaos and simply observing it. You're stopping the car and finally listening to the engine instead of just cursing the bumpy ride. And a word of warning. When you first start doing this, your answers might be, I don't know. You might ask yourself what you're feeling physically and just draw a blank. You've been disconnected for so long that you can't get a signal. That is perfectly okay. I don't know is a valid and powerful answer. The goal isn't to have a perfect, insightful answer. The goal is to build the habit of asking the question. The muscle of self-awareness is atrophied. We are just doing the lightest possible exercise to wake it up. The purpose of this first step is not to feel better. Let me repeat that. The goal is not to feel better. The goal is to get clearer. Clarity is the foundation of everything. You can't navigate a forest if you don't have a map. This gentle audit, this daily weather report, is you drawing the very first lines of your own personal map. Here be dragons. Here there is a rocky path. Here is a patch of sunlight. Without this map, every self-help tool in the world is useless. People try to meditate to fix their anxiety, but they don't even know what their anxiety feels like in their body. They try to build confidence to fight their inner critic, but they've never actually stopped to listen to what the critic is specifically saying. They are trying to perform surgery in the dark. You are simply turning on the lights. So for the next few days, that's your only mission. No fixing, no changing, no judging. Just a 2-minute weather report, once a day. Notice the tightness in your chest. Name the feeling of overwhelm. Acknowledge the looping thought about your to-do list. You are gathering intelligence. You are becoming a student of yourself. You are learning the unique language your body and mind use to speak to you. Because once you can see the map clearly, you can start to see the patterns. You might notice that every time you feel that specific knot in your stomach, you're also having a looping thought about a certain person. You might notice that the tightness in your shoulders always shows up after you've been scrolling on your phone for 10 minutes. You're moving from being a victim of your moods and reactions to being a detective of your own experience. This is the beginning of reclaiming your power. Not by fighting your feelings, but by finally truly understanding them. But once you start seeing what's really there, once you turn on the light in that locked room, a new voice often shows up. Powerful one. The critic. The judge. The voice that looks at the mess and says, "This is all your fault. You should be better than this." And learning how to handle that voice, well, that's the aha moment that changes the entire game. That voice has a name. It has a job. And believe it or not, it thinks it's helping. Think of it like a guard dog for your ego. A very, very old, very jumpy guard dog that was trained in the Stone Age. Its primary job isn't to make you happy or successful. Its job is to keep you safe. And to your ancient, primitive brain, safe means avoiding anything that could lead to rejection, embarrassment, or failure. Because back then, rejection from the tribe meant you were on your own. It meant death. So when you try something new, when you step out of your comfort zone, when you look at the mess on the floor and feel that pang of overwhelm, this guard dog, this inner critic starts barking like crazy. Get back inside. It's not safe out there. You're going to fail. They're going to laugh at you. You're not good enough. It's not being malicious. It's trying to protect you from perceived danger using the only tool it has, fear and criticism. It's trying to scare you back into the small, familiar cave where nothing new or risky ever happens. And what do most of us do when this voice starts barking? We do one of two things. We either believe it completely, letting the criticism wash over us until we feel paralyzed, thinking, "You're right. I am a failure. What's the point?" Or we fight it. We get into a mental wrestling match. "No, I'm not. Shut up. I can do this." We try to argue with it, to reason with it, to bully it into silence. Here's the secret no one ever tells you. You can't win that fight. Ever. Fighting your inner critic is like wrestling with a shadow. The more you struggle, the bigger and more defined it becomes. Trying to force that thought out of your head is like trying not to think about a purple elephant. What are you thinking about right now? Exactly. The act of resisting the thought just digs it in deeper. It gives it power. It makes it the center of your attention. So if believing it is paralyzing, and fighting it is a losing battle, what's left? This is the aha moment. This is the pivot that changes everything. You don't fight it. You don't believe it. You observe it. You take a step back and you separate yourself from the voice. You realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the one hearing the thoughts. Imagine you're sitting by a river, and your thoughts are just leaves floating by. Some leaves are beautiful. Happy memories, brilliant ideas. Some leaves are ugly and thorny. Those are the critical thoughts. Your job isn't to jump into the river and grab every thorny leaf to inspect it or fight it. Your job is just to sit on the bank and watch them float by. Oh look, there's a thought about how I'm not good enough. Interesting. There it goes. This is the practice of mindfulness, of disidentification. It's the difference between saying I am anxious and I am noticing a feeling of anxiety. See the space in that? In the first one, you are the anxiety. It defines you. In the second, you are the observer. The anxiety is a temporary weather pattern passing through you. But it is not the sky. You are the sky. So how do we do this in a practical, non-woo-woo way? We're going to use a 3-step technique. It's simple, it's powerful, and it works. Call it notice, name, and neutralize. Step 1, notice. The moment you feel that familiar drop in your stomach, that wave of shame or frustration, and you hear that voice start its familiar script, you always do this. You're so lazy. You'll never finish this. Your only job is to notice it. Just mentally raise a flag. Say to yourself, there it is. The critic is here. That's it. No judgment, no panic. Just simple recognition. You've just caught the thought instead of letting it hijack your emotional state. Step 2, name. This is where the magic happens. You're going to give your inner critic a name. Not a scary, intimidating name like the demon of despair. Give it a slightly ridiculous, non-threatening name. Something like Gremlin Gary, or Nervous Nancy, or Judge Judy. My personal one is Captain Cautious. It reminds me that its intention is just to be overly careful. Why does this work? Because it externalizes the voice. It's no longer your voice, the ultimate truth about who you are. It's just Gary, the gremlin who lives in your head, who gets paid in panic and whose opinion you don't actually have to take seriously. When the thought, "I'm going to fail at this presentation," pops up, instead of letting it consume you, you can now reframe it as, "Oh, that's just Gary being dramatic again." Classic Gary. It immediately strips the thought of its authority. It takes it from being a terrifying roar to a comical squeak. You can't be terrified of something you've named Worrying Walter. Step 3. Neutralize. This is the most compassionate step. You don't tell Gary to shut up. Remember, he thinks he's helping. If you yell at him, he'll just get louder, trying harder to protect you. Instead, you neutralize him with a little bit of acknowledgement and gratitude. It sounds crazy, but try it. You say mentally, "Hey Gary, I hear you. Thanks for looking out for me. I know you're just trying to keep me from getting hurt or embarrassed, and I appreciate you for that." Feel how disarming that is? You've just met aggression with kindness. You've acknowledged its underlying positive intention. Gary the gremlin doesn't know what to do with that. He's all geared up for a fight, and you just gave him a thank you card. And then, after you thank him, you gently pivot. "But I've got this. I'm going to take a different path right now. I'm choosing to be kind to myself. I'm choosing to try." You are not asking for permission. You are gently but firmly taking back the steering wheel. Notice. Name. Neutralize. "Ah, there's the thought that I'm not a good enough parent." Notice. "That's just nervous Nancy on her soapbox again." Name. "Thanks, Nancy, for worrying about the kids. I appreciate it. But I'm in charge here, and I'm doing the best I can, and that is enough." Neutralize. This isn't a one-and-done fix. It's a practice. It's like building a muscle. The first few times you do it, it will feel weird. The critic's voice will still feel loud and powerful. But every time you catch it, every time you call it by its silly name and thank it for its concern, you are rewiring your brain. You are literally strengthening the neural pathways between your reactive, emotional brain, the amygdala, and your thoughtful, wise, observant brain, the prefrontal cortex. You are teaching yourself on a biological level how to respond to stress instead of just reacting to it. Over time, something amazing happens. The voice doesn't necessarily go away forever. That guard dog is always going to be there, but it gets quieter. It barks less often. And when it does bark, you don't automatically freeze or fight. You just hear it, smile, and give it a little mental pat on the head before you keep walking. This single skill, learning to relate to your own mind in a new way, is the foundation upon which all other mental wellness is built. Because if you're constantly at war with yourself, if you're constantly being beaten down by your own internal monologue, it doesn't matter how much you meditate or exercise or eat right. You're trying to build a house during a constant self-created hurricane. By learning to calm that internal storm, you finally create the space necessary for real growth. You create a baseline of inner peace and self-trust. And with that foundation in place, we can start to look outward. We can begin to architect an external life that supports and nourishes that inner calm. Because once you learn to manage the storm inside your head, the next step is to build a shelter in the world outside. And the blueprint for that shelter is simpler than you think. It starts not with a grand renovation, but with a single honest question. What in your immediate world is draining your energy, and what is giving it back? Think of your life as a home. Right now, you might feel like you're living in a house built by someone else, with leaky faucets, drafty windows, and furniture you never chose. Our goal isn't to tear it all down. It's to become the architect of your own space, one deliberate choice at a time. This shelter we're building has 3 foundational pillars: your physical environment, your digital environment, and your social environment. Get these right and you create a fortress for your mind. Let's start with the most tangible: your physical space. Your room, your car, your desk. We've all heard the advice to clean your room, but it's so much deeper than that. Your external world is a mirror of your internal world. When you're surrounded by chaos, piles of clothes, stacks of mail, dishes in the sink, your brain receives a constant low-grade signal of overwhelm. It's like trying to have a peaceful conversation in the middle of a heavy metal concert. Your mind can't find a quiet corner because there isn't one. The clutter on your floor becomes the clutter in your head. Each unfinished task, each item out of place is an open loop, a tiny cognitive drain that, when multiplied by 100, becomes a torrent of mental exhaustion. The reverse is also true. When you intentionally create order in your space, you send a powerful message to your subconscious. I am in control. I am capable. I can create calm from chaos. This isn't about becoming a minimalist or having a home that looks like a magazine cover. It's about creating an environment that serves you, that lowers your cortisol instead of raising it. So where do you start? Not with a weekend-long purge that leaves you more exhausted than when you began. You start small. You start with the 5-minute rule. Find one surface, your nightstand, a corner of your desk, the passenger seat of your car. Set a timer for 5 minutes and create order in that tiny zone. That's it. You're not tackling the whole room. You're just winning one small visible victory. That victory creates momentum, proves to you that change is possible. Tomorrow you can do another 5 minutes. Then think about what you let into that space. Pay attention to light. For so many of us, our days are spent under the harsh blue-white glare of fluorescent lights, which our biology often interprets as a perpetual stressful midday sun. Can you open a curtain? Can you position your desk near a window? Getting even 15 minutes of natural sunlight, especially in the morning, can help regulate your circadian rhythm, improve your mood, and boost your focus. It's a simple, free biological upgrade. Your physical shelter needs windows. Now for the second pillar, and for many of us this is the one with the biggest leaks, your digital environment. Your phone is not just a device. It's a space you inhabit for hours every single day. And right now, that space is a chaotic, unregulated digital metropolis designed by a million different corporations, all screaming for your attention. The endless scroll, the notifications, the red bubbles of urgency. They are the digital equivalent of that cluttered room, but infinitely more addictive. Architecting your digital shelter is one of the most powerful things you can do for your mental wellness. The first step is to recognize you're not fighting a lack of willpower. You're fighting thousands of the world's smartest engineers who are paid to keep your eyes glued to the screen. So you have to change the game. Here's your first move. Turn your phone to grayscale. Go into your accessibility settings and switch it on. The effect is immediate and profound. Suddenly, the vibrant, candy-colored icons that scream for your attention become muted and boring. Instagram is less appealing. The red notification badge loses its power. You're not removing functionality. You're removing the psychological manipulation. You're turning a slot machine into a simple tool. Next, become a ruthless curator of your digital diet. Think of your social media feed as the food you're feeding your brain. Are you consuming content that leaves you feeling inspired, connected, and informed? Or are you consuming content that leaves you feeling anxious, inadequate, and enraged? Go through your following list right now. Every account that makes you feel worse about yourself, that triggers your anger or your envy, unfollow it, mute it, block it. This is not censorship. This is self-preservation. You wouldn't let someone stand in your living room and insult you all day, so why do you let them do it through your phone? You are the gatekeeper of your mind. Act like it. Finally, create digital sanctuaries. Designate no-phone zones in your physical house, like the dinner table or the bedroom. Your bedroom should be a place for rest and connection, not for scrolling through the curated lives of strangers until midnight. The blue light from your screen suppresses melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. By bringing your phone to bed, you are literally robbing yourself of restorative rest, the very foundation of mental health. Charge your phone across the room, or even better, in another room entirely. Buy a cheap $10 alarm clock. It will be the best investment you ever make for your peace of mind. That brings us to the third and most critical pillar, your social environment. The people you surround yourself with are the roof and walls of your mental shelter. They can either protect you from the storm or they can be the storm itself. You've probably heard people talk about energy vampires or drains versus radiators. It's a simple but powerful concept. A drain is someone you feel exhausted after interacting with. A radiator is someone who leaves you feeling energized, seen, and warmed. Your job is not necessarily to cut every drain out of your life. That's not always realistic. It could be a family member, a coworker, a boss. Instead, your job is to become a conscious manager of your social energy. The first step is to simply take inventory. For 1 week, pay close attention to how you feel after you interact with the main people in your life. No judgment, just observation. Who leaves you feeling lighter? Who leaves you feeling heavier? Once you have that awareness, you can use a powerful tool called the concentric circles of connection. Imagine 3 circles, one inside the other. The very center circle is for your radiators. These are the 2 or 3 people you can be completely yourself with. You can share your fears, your failures, and your weirdest thoughts without fear of judgment. This is your inner sanctum. These relationships need to be protected and nurtured. The middle circle is for your friends and close colleagues. These are good people, but you might not share your deepest vulnerabilities with them. The interactions are positive, but they require a bit more energy to maintain. The outer circle is for everyone else: acquaintances, difficult family members, energy drains you can't avoid. Your interactions with people in this circle should be managed and boundaried. This is where you learn to be polite but firm. You learn to keep conversations brief. You learn to not overshare. You learn that no is a complete sentence. Setting boundaries isn't about being mean or building walls. It's about building a gate with a lock. You get to decide who you let into your innermost sanctuary. You get to decide how much energy you give to the people in the outer circle. A boundary is not you rejecting them, it is you protecting yourself. It's saying, I value my own peace of mind enough to control who has access to it. This is not selfish. It is the fundamental requirement for a sustainable, healthy life. So we have our blueprint: a physical space that creates calm, not chaos; a digital space that serves as a tool, not a tyrant; and a social space that energizes, not exhausts. Each one of these is a pillar supporting your mental wellness. You don't have to fix them all at once. Just start. Tidy one shelf. Unfollow 5 accounts. Have one shorter conversation with a known energy drain. Each action is a brick you lay in the foundation of your shelter. We've laid the foundation, built the walls, and put on the roof. We've built our shelter from the outside world. But a house is not a home until you decide how you live inside it. The most powerful architecture of all isn't wood or code. It's the architecture of your daily habits. And if your environment is the foundation and the walls, your habits are the plumbing, the electricity, the Wi-Fi. They are the invisible systems that make the house function. You can have the most beautiful mansion in the world, but if the toilets don't flush and the lights don't turn on, it's unlivable. Just a pretty shell. Most of us, when we try to improve our lives, we focus on grand sweeping gestures. We decide we're going to build a brand new house from scratch in a single weekend. We say, starting Monday, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m., meditate for an hour, run 5 miles, journal for 30 minutes, and eat nothing but kale. By Wednesday, we're exhausted, discouraged, and eating cereal for dinner, feeling like a total failure. We didn't fail because we were weak. We failed because we tried to install the plumbing, electricity, and an advanced smart home system all at the same time without a blueprint. The secret isn't a massive overhaul. It's the discovery of something called a keystone habit. In architecture, a keystone is the central stone at the top of an arch that locks all the other stones into position. It's the one piece that holds the entire structure together. Remove it and everything collapses. In your life, a keystone habit is a single small routine that unintentionally ripples out, causing a chain reaction of other positive habits to form. You don't have to focus on changing everything. You just have to find and install your keystone. For many, that keystone is exercise. Not training for a marathon, maybe just a 10-minute walk. Someone starts walking every day. Because they're walking, they start feeling a little more energetic. Because they have more energy, they start sleeping a little better. Because they're sleeping better, they're less stressed, so they stop stress eating junk food. Because they're not eating as much junk, their mind feels clearer. See the cascade? That one 10-minute walk held the arch of their well-being together. For others, the keystone is making their bed every morning. Sounds ridiculously simple, almost pointless. But it's the first accomplished task of the day. It's a small win that proves you can exert order over chaos. That tiny victory gives you a little hit of pride, a small dose of momentum that you carry into the next task and the next. It's not about having a tidy bed. It's about proving to yourself first thing in the morning that you are someone who does what they say they're going to do. But how do you even start? Especially when you feel so overwhelmed that even a 10-minute walk feels like climbing Everest. You make it so easy you can't say no. This is maybe the most important piece of practical advice in this entire series. Whatever new habit you want to build, scale it down to its most laughably simple 2-minute version. You want to start meditating? Don't try for 30 minutes. Your goal is to sit down and breathe deeply once. That's it. The habit isn't meditating for 30 minutes. The habit is starting to meditate. You want to read more? Your goal isn't to read a chapter a day. It's to read 1 page or 1 sentence. You want to start journaling? Your goal is to write down 1 word that describes your day. The point isn't the action itself. The point is to become the type of person who shows up. You're not trying to get in shape with 1 push-up. You're casting a vote for a new identity. Every time you put on your running shoes, even if you just walk to the mailbox, you're casting a vote for, I am a person who is active. Every time you open your journal and write 1 word, You're casting a vote for, I am a person who is reflective. The action is the proof. You are literally rewiring your brain. Think of it like this: your brain is a field of tall grass. The first time you have a thought or perform an action, it's like walking through that field. It's hard work, pushing through the resistance. But if you walk that same path the next day, it's a tiny bit easier. And the day after that, a little easier still. After a week, you've started to beat down a small trail. After a month, it's a clear path. After a year, it's a paved road. This isn't just a metaphor. Your brain cells, your neurons, communicate with each other. When you repeat an action, the neural pathway for that action gets wrapped in a fatty substance called myelin. It's like insulating an electrical wire. The more myelin, the faster and more efficient the signal becomes. The habit goes from being a conscious, difficult choice to an unconscious, automatic behavior. You are literally, physically building a new road in your brain. This is why starting small is so critical. You can't pave a 4-lane highway in a day, but you can walk the path. The 2-minute rule isn't about the immediate result. It's about taking out your shovel and starting to dig. It's about mastering the art of showing up. I knew a guy, let's call him David. David was drowning in anxiety. His apartment was a mess, his diet was terrible, he was perpetually late for work, and he felt completely out of control. His therapist suggested he pick one thing. Just one. He decided his keystone habit would be to wash his dinner plate immediately after eating. Not the whole sink full of dishes. Just his one plate. It was his 2-minute rule. It was so small it felt stupid. But he did it. The first night he washed his plate. And he looked at the clean plate in the otherwise cluttered sink. And it was one small point of order in the chaos. A tiny island of clean. The next night he did it again. Then he figured while he was there he might as well wash the fork he used. A few weeks later he found himself just cleaning the whole kitchen after dinner. He hadn't planned to. Just felt right. That one habit started a cascade. Seeing the clean kitchen made him feel a little better about his home. So he started tidying up the living room for 10 minutes before bed. Waking up to a clean kitchen and a tidy living room reduced his morning stress. He had more mental energy. He started getting to work on time. Because he wasn't rushing, he had time to pack a healthy lunch instead of grabbing fast food. It all started with one plate. He didn't cure his anxiety overnight, but he stopped feeling powerless. He learned that he could build a road out of the swamp, one single paving stone at a time. He installed the plumbing for his mental home, and for the first time things started to flow. So your task right now is not to design a 10-year plan for a new life. It's to pick your plate. What is the one, laughably small 2-minute action that you can take to cast a vote for the person you want to become? Do you want to be a more mindful person? Your habit is to sit in a chair and take one conscious breath. Do you want to be a healthier person? Your habit is to put on your walking shoes and stand by the door. Do you want to be a more organized person? Your habit is to take one item that's out of place and put it where it belongs. The goal is not to achieve the outcome immediately. The goal is to build the system, to lay the wiring, to pave the road. Because once the systems are in place, once the habits become automatic, they become the invisible architecture that supports your entire life. They free up your conscious mind to deal with bigger problems because the basics are running on autopilot. We've fortified our environment, our shelter. Now we've installed the internal systems, the habits that make it a functional home. But there's one more crucial element we have to master. We've built this strong, functional house for our mind to live in. But what happens when the mind itself starts trying to tear the place down from the inside? What do you do when the very thoughts living in your head are the ones trying to burn the whole thing to the ground? This is the fundamental question of mental wellness. Because you can build the most beautiful, structurally sound house, with the best sleep foundation and the cleanest nutrition walls, but if there's a saboteur inside, none of it matters. That saboteur is your own mind. More specifically, it's a pattern of thinking that psychologists call negative automatic thoughts, or NATs. But let's just call them what they are, mental saboteurs. These are the thoughts that pop into your head, automatically without your permission. They're the inner critic, the voice that whispers you're not good enough, that you're going to fail, that everyone is judging you. They're the ones holding the matches, ready to burn your house down. They tell you the foundation is cracked, the walls are crumbling, and the whole structure is a fraud. And the terrifying part? They sound just like you. They use your voice. So you believe them. This creates a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle. It's a 3-step loop that runs our lives, often without us even noticing. It goes like this. Thought leads to feeling, which leads to action. Imagine you send a text to a friend, and they don't reply for a few hours. The mental saboteur pops in with the thought, "They're mad at me. I must have said something wrong." That's the thought. Instantly a feeling follows. Maybe it's anxiety, a knot in your stomach. Maybe it's sadness, a feeling of rejection. That's the feeling. And what does that feeling lead to? An action. You might check your phone obsessively. You might send a frantic, awkward follow-up text. Or you might withdraw, deciding not to text them again to avoid more rejection. The action then reinforces the original thought. See, they still haven't replied. I knew they were mad. The loop tightens. Thought, feeling, action. This cycle is the engine of our suffering. But here's the secret. It's also the engine of our freedom. Because if we can intervene at the very first step, if we can intercept the thought, we can change the entire trajectory. We don't have to let the saboteur light the match. We can take the matches away. This is not about the power of positive thinking. This isn't about pasting happy affirmations over a rotten foundation. That's like putting a fresh coat of paint on a wall that's full of termites. It's useless. This is about the power of accurate thinking. It's about becoming a detective in your own mind, putting your thoughts on trial, and seeing if they hold up under cross-examination. We can do this with a simple 3-step process. Catch it, challenge it, change it. Let's start with step 1. Catch it. You can't fight an enemy you can't see. For most of us, these negative thoughts are like background noise. They're so constant, so normal we don't even notice them. Your first job is to simply start noticing. Become an observer of your own mind. When you feel a sudden shift in your mood, a wave of anxiety, a pang of sadness, a flash of anger, hit the pause button. Rewind the mental tape by about 5 seconds. What was the thought that just went through your head right before the feeling hit? Maybe you were scrolling social media, saw a friend's vacation photos, and felt a dip in your mood. The thought might have been, "My life is so boring compared to theirs." Just catch it. Don't judge it, don't fight it. Just acknowledge it. Ah, there it is. There's the saboteur. You can even write it down in a notebook or on your phone. The simple act of naming the thought separates you from it. It's not you, it's just a thought. It's a cloud passing through the sky of your mind. Once you get good at catching these thoughts, you move to step 2, challenge it. This is where you become the detective. You put that thought on the witness stand and you question it relentlessly. You ask it tough questions. Let's take that thought. "My life is so boring compared to theirs." The first question is this thought 100% objectively true? Is it a fact? Or is it a story I'm telling myself? Well, no, it's not a fact. It's an interpretation based on a curated collection of photos. Next question. What's the evidence for this thought? Well, they're in a beautiful place and I'm on my couch. Okay, what's the evidence against this thought? Well, I'm only seeing the highlight reel of their life, not the boring parts, not the stressful parts. I don't know if they argued on the way to the airport or if they got food poisoning yesterday. Also, I had a great time with my family last weekend. I'm really proud of the progress I made on a project at work. My life isn't defined by this one single moment of sitting on the couch. You keep going. What's a different, more balanced way to look at this situation? Maybe, they're having a great vacation, and I'm happy for them. My life has different kinds of joys and challenges right now, and that's okay. Comparing my everyday reality to someone else's highlight reel isn't a fair or useful comparison. You're not trying to lie to yourself. You're not saying, "My life is 1,000 times better than theirs." You're just dismantling the saboteur's argument brick by brick, by introducing reason, logic, and perspective. You're looking for the truth, not just the negative. This brings us to step 3, change it. After you've caught the thought and challenged it, you replace the saboteur's lie with a more balanced, realistic, and helpful statement. This new thought isn't a cheesy affirmation. It's a conclusion you've reached through your own detective work. So the original thought, "My life is so boring," gets replaced with your new challenge thought. "I'm feeling a bit down comparing myself, but I know that social media isn't the full picture. I have good things in my own life, and I can focus on those." What happens to the cycle now? The new thought is, social media isn't the full picture, and I have good things in my life. What feeling does that lead to? Not overwhelming joy maybe, but perhaps a sense of calm, a feeling of neutrality, a release of that painful anxiety of comparison. And what action does that feeling lead to? Instead of endlessly scrolling and feeling worse, you might put your phone down. You might text a friend to make plans. You might pick up a book you've been meaning to read. An action that builds you up instead of tearing you down. You've just rerouted the entire system. You've taken the matches away from the saboteur. This takes practice. At first, it will feel clunky and unnatural. Your mental saboteur is strong. It's been running the show for years, maybe decades. It's built superhighways in your brain, and you're trying to build a new, small dirt path. It will fight back. It will tell you this whole exercise is stupid and won't work. That's just another thought. Catch it, challenge it, change it. Every time you do this, you're a little bit freer. You're weakening the old neural pathway and strengthening the new one. You're remodeling the inside of your house, not just cleaning the gutters. You're teaching the saboteur that there's a new sheriff in town. You are taking back control of the internal architecture of your mind. This is the foundational skill. Learning to separate yourself from your thoughts, to observe them without judgment, and to consciously choose a more helpful perspective is the work of a lifetime. It's how you stop being a prisoner of your own mind and start becoming its master. It's how you ensure that the beautiful house you're building, with good sleep, good food, good movement, is a place of peace, not a war zone. But there's a complication here. This process is incredibly powerful for dealing with our thoughts. But thoughts are only one part of the equation. What about the FNRTFA loop? What happens when you challenge the thought, you know it's irrational, but the feeling, that knot in your stomach, that tightness in your chest, that wave of sadness, what happens when that just refuses to leave? How do you handle the raw, physical, overwhelming power of your emotions? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because our logical brain and our emotional body often feel like they're living on two different planets. And in a fight between logic and a tidal wave of emotion, the tidal wave wins every single time. So what if the goal isn't to fight it? What if the goal isn't to build a bigger, stronger wall to hold back the ocean? Because that wall will always eventually break. What if, instead, we learned how to surf? Imagine your strongest, most overwhelming emotion, that spike of anxiety, that pit of despair, is a giant ocean wave. It's coming toward you, powerful and inevitable. Your first instinct, our collective human instinct, is to brace for impact. To stand there rigid and try to punch the wave. To scream at it to go away. We get battered. We get thrown around, tumbled under the water, gasping for air, exhausted and defeated. And then we blame ourselves for not being strong enough to stop the ocean. But a surfer doesn't try to stop the wave. A surfer understands the power of the wave is immense and uncontrollable. Instead, they learn its rhythm. They paddle with it, they get up on the board, and they ride its energy until it gently returns them to the shore. This is the single most powerful shift you can make in your relationship with your feelings. Stop fighting them, and learn to ride them. So how do we do that? It sounds nice, but what does it actually look like when you're sitting at your desk? Your heart is hammering against your ribs because of an email, and you feel like you're about to fall apart? It starts with something we've already been practicing, mindfulness, but we're going to apply it in a very specific way. The first step in surfing an emotional wave is to see it coming while it's still a swell on the horizon, not when it's a 50-foot monster about to crash on top of you. The physical sensations are the swell, that first little flutter in your stomach, the slight heat in your face, the tightening in your shoulders. The moment you notice one of these, that's your cue. You say to yourself, okay, a wave is coming. The second step is to give the wave a name, not in a judgmental way but in a factual, almost scientific way. This is anxiety. This is grief. This is anger. This simple act of labeling is incredibly powerful. It's a concept child psychologists call name it to tame it. When you name the emotion, you externalize it. You create a tiny bit of space between you and it. You are not anxiety, you are a person experiencing anxiety. You are not sadness, you are a person feeling sadness. You are the sky and the emotion is the weather. The weather passes but the sky remains. Naming the storm gives you your power back. You're no longer drowning in it, you're observing it. Okay, so you've seen the swell, you've named the wave. This is a panic wave. Now it's starting to build. Your heart rate is climbing. Your thoughts are starting to race. This is the critical moment. This is where you resist the urge to fight, to suppress, or to distract. Instead, you drop anchor. In a raging storm, an anchor doesn't stop the storm. The wind still howls, the waves still crash. But the anchor keeps the boat from being swept away into the open sea. Your anchor is the physical, present world. Your 5 senses are the strongest anchor you have, and you can use them anytime, anywhere. This is a technique called grounding, and it is your surfboard. We're going to use a simple method called 5-4-3-2-1. When you feel that wave building, I want you to mentally or even out loud find 5 things you can see. And don't just list them. Describe them. I see the wood grain on my desk. I see the blue light on my computer monitor. I see a crack in the ceiling. I see the green leaves on the plant in the corner. I see the scuff mark on my shoe. You are pulling your brain out of the future tripping, what if storm, and anchoring it in the physical reality of right now. Next, for things you can feel. The solid ground beneath your feet. The texture of your jeans on your legs. The cool, smooth surface of your phone in your hand. The slight tension in your own shoulders. Just notice it, don't judge it. Then 3 things you can hear. The hum of the refrigerator. The distant sound of traffic. The sound of your own breathing. Listen closely. Pull those sounds into your focus. Next, 2 things you can smell. Maybe it's the faint scent of coffee from this morning. Or the soap on your hands. If you can't smell anything, just imagine the smell of fresh cut grass. Or your favorite perfume. Engage that part of your brain. And finally, 1 thing you can taste. Maybe it's the lingering taste of your toothpaste or a sip of water. You can even just notice the sensation of your tongue in your mouth. What you have just done is remarkable. In the space of about 60 seconds, you have told your primal fight or flight brain, the part of you that's screaming danger, that you are actually safe. You are here. You are in this room. You are not being chased by a tiger. The storm of emotion is happening inside you, but your anchor is in the solid, safe, present moment. Now that you're anchored, the wave is still there. It might be at its peak, but you're not being thrown by it. You're grounded. This is when you introduce the final, most important step, compassion. You have to soothe your nervous system. Think about what you would do for a small child who is terrified or heartbroken. You wouldn't yell at them to just get over it. You would speak to them softly. You might put a reassuring hand on their back. You need to do this for yourself. I want you to try this right now. Take your right hand and place it over your heart. Just feel the warmth and the gentle pressure. It's not a silly gesture. This has a real physiological effect. It stimulates the vagus nerve, which helps regulate our emotional response and sends calming signals to the brain. It's a biological "it's okay" button. With your hand on your heart, you're going to talk to yourself silently. Not with logic, but with pure, simple compassion. You say things like, "This is really hard right now. This feeling is painful. It's okay to feel this way. This is just a wave. It will pass. I am safe." You are not trying to fix the feeling. You are not trying to make it go away. You are simply allowing it to be there, while offering yourself comfort and safety. You are holding space for your own pain, just as you would for a friend. You are letting the wave crest and wash over you, while you hold on to your anchor and your surfboard. And a funny thing happens when you do this. When you stop fighting the wave, when you name it, anchor yourself, and offer yourself compassion, the wave loses its power. Peaks, it crests, and then it recedes. It always does. No emotion lasts forever at its peak intensity. By riding it out, you prove to yourself that you can survive it. You build emotional resilience. The first few times you do this, it will feel clumsy. You might only remember to do it after the wave has already crashed and you're sputtering on the beach. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is practice. The next time, maybe you'll catch it a little earlier. You'll remember to name it. The time after that, you'll remember to drop anchor with the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. This isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming emotionally skilled. It's about understanding that your feelings are not your enemy. They are signals. They are energy. And you can learn to work with that energy instead of being consumed by it. You can become the surfer. Learning to ride these intense, momentary waves is a fundamental skill for your mental wellness journey. It allows you to navigate the sudden storms. But what happens when the challenge isn't a sudden, crashing wave? What happens when it's not a storm but a climate? A persistent, lingering fog of low mood? Or a constant humming baseline of anxiety that colors everything you do? How do you work with the weather when it seems to settle in for a whole season? That's the real question, isn't it? This is where the tools we've talked about so far, the breathing, the journaling, the mindfulness, can start to feel like bringing a bucket to a flood. They are essential, life-saving tools for managing the moment, for surviving the storm. But when the storm becomes the climate, you need more than a bucket. You need to build an ark. You need to consult with engineers and meteorologists. You need to call in the professionals. And for many of us, that's the scariest step of all. Because the word professional, in the context of mental health, comes loaded with a century of stigma, whispers, and fear. Can feel like an admission of defeat, a sign that you're truly broken. But I want to propose a radical reframe, a shift in perspective that might just change everything. Seeking professional help isn't a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that you're ready to build. It's the moment you decide to stop just surviving the weather and start actively designing your own internal ecosystem. Let's talk about the two main branches of this professional support system: therapy and medication. Think of them not as crutches, but as a master architect and a set of high-grade power tools. First, let's demystify therapy. The image many people have is from old movies. Lying on a leather couch, staring at the ceiling talking about your mother while a bearded man in a tweed jacket silently takes notes. Let's just throw that image out. Modern therapy is an active, collaborative process. Think of a therapist less as a silent judge and more as a personal trainer for your mind. Or maybe a seasoned guide who has a map of the very forest you feel lost in. You are still the one walking the path, but they can point out the pitfalls, the shortcuts, and the hidden springs of water you would have missed on your own. A good therapist helps you do one thing above all else: see your own patterns. We all live by a set of invisible scripts, rules, and assumptions we learned in childhood. I must never fail. I'm only lovable if I'm useful. If I show vulnerability, I will be attacked. We are often completely unaware these scripts are even running, yet they dictate our reactions, our relationships, and our self-worth. Therapy is the process of holding those invisible scripts up to the light. Your therapist acts as a mirror, reflecting your thoughts and behaviors back to you in a way that allows you to see them clearly, perhaps for the first time. They give you new frameworks like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, which is a fancy way of saying a method to challenge and change the unhelpful thought patterns that lead to self-destructive behaviors. It's about learning that a thought is just a thought, not a fact, and that you have the power to intercept a negative thought spiral before it drags you down into the mud. You learn practical skills, communication techniques, and coping mechanisms tailored specifically to you. It is the definition of personalized mental health care. So, how do you even start? The task can feel monumental. The key is to break it down. Websites like Psychology Today are incredible resources where you can filter therapists by location, specialty, insurance, and more. You can read their profiles, see their faces, and get a feel for their approach. Many offer free 15-minute consultation calls. I want you to hear this loud and clear. It is perfectly okay, and in fact encouraged, to shop around. Finding a therapist is like dating. You need to find someone you click with, someone you feel safe with. If you meet one and it doesn't feel right, that's not a failure. It's a data point. You thank them for their time and you move on. The right fit is out there, and finding them is one of the greatest investments you will ever make in yourself. Now let's talk about the other professional tool: medication. If therapy is the architect helping you redesign the house, medication can be the tool that stabilizes the foundation so you can even begin the work. For some reason, this is often the most stigmatized tool of all. We have no problem taking medicine for our heart, our kidneys, or our thyroid. But when it comes to the organ that runs the entire show, the brain, we're told to just tough it out or think more positively. That is not only unhelpful, it's scientifically wrong. Imagine your brain is a fantastically complex switchboard with billions of signals firing every second. These signals are carried by chemicals called neurotransmitters. You've probably heard of some, like serotonin and dopamine. For many people dealing with persistent depression or anxiety, that chemical signaling system isn't working optimally. There might be a genuine biological imbalance. The signals are getting dropped, or the volume is turned way down. Psychiatric medication is designed to help correct that imbalance. It's not a happy pill that papers over your problems. It doesn't change your personality. What it does is help tune the instrument. It brings the chemical levels in your brain back into a range where it can function as it's supposed to. It's like putting on a pair of glasses after years of squinting. Suddenly, the world isn't a terrifying, overwhelming blur. You can see clearly enough to navigate, to read the signs, to do the work. For many, medication doesn't solve the problem, it makes the problem solvable. It can lift the suffocating fog of depression just enough for you to get out of bed and make it to that therapy appointment. It can turn down the screeching alarm of anxiety from a 10 to a 4, allowing you to use the breathing techniques that felt impossible before. Of course, it's a serious decision that should only be made with a qualified medical professional, like a psychiatrist or your primary care doctor. They will discuss the options, the potential side effects, and the process. Just like with therapy, finding the right medication and the right dose can be a journey. It might take time, but to deny yourself that potential relief because of stigma is like refusing a cast for a broken leg. The goal is to heal, and you deserve to use the best medical tools available to do so. This is the crucial synergy. Therapy and medication often work best together. The medication can stabilize the foundation, and the therapy teaches you how to build a stronger, more resilient house on top of it. One is the hardware, the other is the software. Together, they create a powerful operating system for your well-being. So the next time you think about these professional tools, I want you to consciously reject the language of brokenness and weakness. This is not about fixing a flaw. This is about upgrading your system. It's about taking your life, your happiness, and your peace seriously enough to call in a specialist. It's the bravest, most proactive, and most self-respecting step you can take when the weather has turned into a climate. It's the moment you stop being a victim of your internal weather and start becoming its architect. You've learned to observe your internal state, you've practiced being with difficult emotions, and now you know about the powerful professional tools available to you. But what about the world outside of your own head? What about the very structure of your daily life? The people you surround yourself with, the space you live in, the habits you repeat day after day. These aren't just background details. They are the very scaffolding upon which your mental wellness is built, or from which it crumbles. How do we start building a life that, by its very design, supports our peace instead of stealing it? We start by becoming the architects of our own lives. Not just passive residents, but the lead designer, the master builder, the one who decides where the windows go to let the light in. For too long, many of us have been living in a house someone else built for us. A design based on society's expectations, our parents' dreams, or the chaotic blueprints of our past. We wonder why it feels drafty, why the rooms feel small, why we can't seem to find a comfortable place to sit. It's because the house wasn't built for us. The journey to mental wellness isn't about just redecorating a room here or there. It's about taking out the blueprints and asking a terrifying, thrilling question. If I could build my life from the ground up, with my own peace of mind as the primary goal, what would it look like? The first step for any architect is the blueprint. Before you pour a single ounce of concrete, you have to know what you're building. In our lives, the blueprint is our values. Not the values we're told we should have, like hustle or wealth or social status, but the ones that, in the quietest moments of our hearts, we know to be true for us. Things like creativity or connection or compassion or adventure or stability. Most of us have never consciously chosen them. They're just a jumbled collection of inherited beliefs. So let's make a choice right now. Grab a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. I want you to write down a time you felt truly, genuinely alive. A moment you felt proud or deeply content. Maybe it was finishing a difficult project, or a long conversation with a friend, or hiking to the top of a mountain, or simply cooking a meal for someone you love. Now look at that memory. What value was underneath it? If you felt proud finishing a project, maybe the value is competence or dedication. If it was the conversation, maybe the value is connection or intimacy. If it was the hike, maybe it's freedom or nature. Do this for 3 or 4 different memories. You'll start to see a pattern. These words, competence, connection, freedom, these are your load-bearing walls. This is your blueprint. This is the non-negotiable design of the life that will actually fit you. Once you have your blueprint, you can start pouring the foundation. And the foundation of your daily life is your environment. This is both your physical space and your digital space. Let's start with the physical. Look around you right now. Does your space feel like a sanctuary or a cell? Does it energize you or drain you? We vastly underestimate how our external world shapes our internal world. A cluttered desk isn't just a cluttered desk. It's a constant, low-grade signal to your brain that life is chaotic and tasks are unfinished. A bedroom that's also your office and your gym sends the message that you can never truly rest. You don't need to hire an interior designer or spend a fortune. Start with one thing: the 5-minute reset. Pick one small area, your nightstand, the passenger seat of your car, one shelf on your bookshelf. Set a timer for 5 minutes and make that one tiny corner a place of peace. Clear it off, wipe it down, put one thing on it that makes you smile. A photo, a plant, a favorite book. It seems ridiculously small, but you are sending a powerful message to yourself. I am worthy of a peaceful space. I am in control of my environment. Then there's the digital foundation, which for many of us is even more important. Your social media feed is the neighborhood you live in. Are your neighbors screaming at each other all day? Are they constantly showing off their perfect lives, making you feel inadequate? Or are they inspiring, kind, and funny? You are the curator of this neighborhood. Today, I want you to go through who you follow and find just one account that consistently makes you feel anxious or angry or less than. And I want you to hit unfollow or mute. You don't owe them your attention. You don't owe them a piece of your mental real estate. It's not about creating an echo chamber. It's about evicting the people who are constantly throwing trash on your digital lawn. Replace them with someone who posts about something aligned with your values. Art, nature, science, comedy. You are building a foundation that supports you, not one that's constantly cracking under the weight of comparison and outrage. With a solid foundation, it's time to erect the support beams. These are your relationships. A house with weak beams will collapse in the first storm, and a life with unsupportive relationships will crumble under the first sign of pressure. We need to conduct a relationship audit. Think of the people in your life as either radiators or drains. Radiators are the people who, after you spend time with them, you feel warmer, more energized, more yourself. They radiate positivity and support. Drains are the people who, after you interact with them, you feel exhausted, depleted, and smaller. They drain your energy. It doesn't mean they are bad people. A relationship can be a drain simply because it's no longer a good fit. Your job as the architect is to maximize your time around the radiators and insulate yourself from the drains. This doesn't mean you have to cut everyone off. Insulation can look like setting boundaries. It can be saying, I only have 20 minutes to talk today. It can be deciding not to discuss certain topics with a particular person. It can be choosing to see them in a group instead of one-on-one. Your action step here is simple. Identify one radiator in your life. Send them a text right now and tell them you appreciate them. Then identify one drain, and think of one small boundary you can set the next time you interact. This isn't selfish. It's structural integrity. You are ensuring your house can stand. Finally, with the structure in place, we get to the interior design. This is where you fill your life with meaning and joy. This is about creating intentional rituals that align with your blueprint, your values. A ritual isn't just a habit. A habit is something you do automatically, like brushing your teeth. A ritual is a habit infused with meaning and presence. If your value is connection, maybe your ritual is a no phones at the dinner table rule. If your value is creativity, maybe your ritual is 10 minutes of free writing in a journal every morning before you check your email. If your value is peace, maybe it's a 5-minute meditation or simply drinking your morning coffee while looking out the window, doing nothing else. These rituals are the furniture of your life. They are what make a house a home. They are the small daily acts that remind you what you're building and why it matters. They are anchors of sanity in a world that wants to pull you in a million directions. So choose one of your core values from your blueprint and design one tiny 5-minute ritual around it that you can do tomorrow. Don't try to overhaul your entire morning routine. Just add one small, beautiful piece of furniture, one small act of intention. This is how you build a life that supports your peace. You start with the blueprint of your values. You pour the foundation of a curated environment. You raise the support beams of intentional relationships. And you fill it with the interior design of meaningful rituals. You stop being a renter in a life that doesn't fit, and you become the owner and architect of a home built specifically for your own well-being. It's a slow process. You build it brick by brick, choice by choice. But you are building something that can last. Something that feels like your own. We've designed the house, we've built the walls, we've placed the support beams. It looks perfect on paper. It feels sturdy in the calm weather. But what happens when the first hurricane hits? Because it will. What happens when loss comes, or failure, or a global pandemic shuts down the world? How do you make your wellness resilient enough to withstand the inevitable storms of life? The answer isn't to build higher walls or a stronger roof. The answer is to become a different kind of structure altogether. Not just resilient, not just able to be battered by the storm and return to your original shape, but to become what some thinkers call anti-fragile. Imagine 3 packages. The first is labeled fragile. You drop it, it shatters. This is a system that breaks under stress. The second is labeled resilient or robust. You drop it, it bounces, it withstands the shock. It remains unchanged. This is what most people aim for in mental health, to simply endure. But there's a third package. This one, when you drop it, when you shake it, when you put it under stress, it gets stronger. The stress itself is information. The shock is a catalyst for growth. That is anti-fragility. Your bones are anti-fragile. Under the stress of weightlifting, they don't just endure. They remodel themselves to become denser and stronger. Your immune system is anti-fragile. Exposure to germs doesn't just test it. It teaches it, making it more capable of handling future threats. Your mind, your entire being, has this same innate capacity. The goal is not to avoid the storms of life. The goal is to learn how to harness their energy to make you stronger. So how do we do that? How do we build this internal architecture? It starts with voluntarily embracing discomfort. Our modern world is a conspiracy against discomfort. Everything is optimized for ease, for convenience, for the path of least resistance. We have temperature-controlled homes, food delivered to our door, entertainment on demand. We have systematically eliminated the small, natural stressors that our ancestors faced daily, the very stressors that kept them sharp, adaptable, and strong. When you live a life devoid of voluntary hardship, the first encounter with involuntary hardship, a job loss, a breakup, a health scare, can feel like a tidal wave. It's overwhelming because your system has no training. Your discomfort muscle has atrophied. Building anti-fragility means reintroducing small, manageable doses of stress into your life. It's a form of psychological weightlifting. This isn't about self-punishment. It's about self-expansion. It could be as simple as taking a cold shower for 30 seconds at the end of your normal one. The initial shock is intense. Your body screams, "Get out!" But then you breathe. You focus. You endure. And when you step out, you feel an incredible rush of clarity and accomplishment. You just taught your nervous system that you can consciously walk into a stressful situation and remain in control. You taught yourself that you are the one at the helm, not your reactive impulses. It could be having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. It could be signing up for a public speaking class, or a martial art, or learning a new language that makes your brain hurt. It's anything that pushes you just beyond your current comfort zone. Each time you do this, you are inoculating yourself against stress. You are building evidence, creating a track record for your own mind that proves you can handle hard things. So when the real storms hit, your first thought isn't, "I can't handle this." It's, "I've handled hard things before. I know how to do this." The second pillar of this storm-proof wellness is to find your why. The psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl wrote one of the most profound books of all time, Man's Search for Meaning. In the unimaginable horror of the concentration camps, he observed that the prisoners who were most likely to survive were not necessarily the physically strongest, but those who had a meaning, a purpose that they clung to, a reason to endure the suffering. It could be the hope of seeing a loved one again, a piece of work they felt they had to finish, or a deep spiritual faith. Frankl famously said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." Your why is your anchor in the storm. It's the North Star that keeps you oriented when the waves are crashing over the deck. In our comfortable lives, it's easy to forget to ask this question. We get caught up in the what job to get, what to watch, what to buy. But we neglect the why. Why are you here? What matters most to you deep in your core? What are the values you are willing to suffer for? This isn't a question you answer once. It's a question you live into. It's found in service to others, in creating something beautiful, in raising a family, in fighting for a cause you believe in your connection to nature or to God. Take time to sit with this. Write it down. Meditate on it. Because when your personal hurricane hits, and your what is stripped away, your job, your routine, your sense of normalcy, your why is what will be left. It's the unshakable foundation. And this brings us to the final, most critical piece of building a life that can withstand anything. You cannot do it alone. The myth of the rugged individual, the lone wolf who pulls himself up by his own bootstraps, is one of the most damaging lies we tell ourselves. Humans are not lone wolves. We are pack animals. We are social creatures who are biologically wired for connection. For millions of years, being separated from the tribe meant death. That ancient fear is still coded into our DNA. Loneliness isn't just a bad feeling. It's a life-threatening condition. It creates chronic stress that is as damaging to your physical health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. When a hurricane makes landfall, a single isolated tree is easily uprooted. But a forest? A forest stands strong. Why? Because beneath the surface, their roots are intertwined. They support each other. They hold each other up against the wind. Your community, your tribe, your people, they are your root system. Building resilient wellness means intentionally weaving your roots with others. It means investing in relationships that go deeper than surface-level pleasantries. It means finding the people you can call at 3 a.m., the people you can be messy and imperfect and vulnerable with who won't turn away. And if you feel like you don't have that right now, please hear me. You are not alone in feeling that way. The task is to start building it one root at a time. Join a club, a hiking group, a book club, a D&D campaign. Volunteer for a cause you care about. Take a class at a community college. Go to the same coffee shop at the same time every week and start recognizing faces. It's scary. It requires vulnerability, but it is the single most important investment you can make in your long-term well-being. Your wellness journey isn't a solo expedition to a mountain peak. It's about building a village that can celebrate together in the sunshine and, more importantly, a village that can huddle together for warmth and safety when the storm rages. So as we come to the end of this guide, I want you to let go of one final idea. The idea that this is a journey with a destination. There is no finish line. There is no magical place called fixed, or healed, or happy forever. That's not how life works. Life is a series of seasons. There will be seasons of sunshine and growth, and there will be seasons of storms and winter. The entire purpose of this journey is not to somehow create a life of endless summer. The purpose is to become a masterful sailor. To learn how to read the clouds, how to mend your sails, how to navigate by the stars on a dark night, and how to anchor yourself in a safe harbor with your crew. You have now been given a map and a compass. You have the tools. You understand the terrain. You are not broken. You have never been broken. You are a human being, navigating the beautiful, chaotic, and often painful experience of being alive. And you have within you the capacity not just to survive it, but to be transformed by it. To grow stronger in the broken places, to find meaning in the struggle, and to build a life that is not just happy but whole. Your journey starts now. Not tomorrow, not next week. It starts with your very next conscious choice. Your next breath. Your next step. The great adventure is waiting. Begin.